Well, we have a decent cold snap moving into the central U.S., creating freeze warnings. Might be winter's last gasp, and maybe some severe weather in the southeast ahead of that cold air. So pretty chilly waking up in the north central U.S., teens and 20s for temperatures, and this cold air is plunging south. It's creating severe weather for the southeast today, slight risk of severe weather for Georgia, northern Florida into South Carolina, and bringing some late freeze warnings in the central U.S. too. Temperatures today won't get out of the 30s for Minnesota, much of northern Wisconsin, UP and Michigan, as that cold air sinks south, and it's going to be creating some pretty chilly temperatures here over the next 24 hours. Short-lived but potent, anywhere from 10 to 20 degrees below normal today for a good chunk of the central and eastern U.S., except for Florida, basically. Widespread freeze warnings because this is a little late in the season. Eastern Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, much of southern Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, areas that should be generally off and running into spring, but temperatures there could drop into the 20s and low 30s tonight. Basically, everywhere on the other side of this yellow dash line could be below freezing or likely to be below freezing overnight tonight, with even temperatures maybe getting into the singles in northeastern Minnesota tonight. But we usually have one last blast of cold here in much of the country here before spring gets going fully, especially in the northern states. But the cold front in the southeast is creating some showers and thunderstorms ongoing Monday morning, and we've got a slight risk, level 2 out of 5 of severe weather from the panhandle of Florida through southern Georgia, South Carolina into North Carolina. Again, right now we do have pretty widespread activity all along that front, with those northwest winds bringing the cold air, but temperatures ahead of it in the 90s, dew points in the 70s, so a summer-like air mass that this front is running into, creating the thunderstorm threat today. Dew points in the 60s and 70s here all across the southeast. Now, that's normal for Florida, but that cold front pushing it a little further into the Carolinas, and again with that cold, dry air moving in, creating that severe threat. So as we mentioned, a slight risk. We do have a slight risk of some of that tornadic activity across portions of north central Florida, into Georgia and South Carolina, and then also high wind threat. Could see some high wind gusts out of that front. Not particularly impressive parameters today, but enough to create at least that slight risk for severe storms. Convective available potential energy or instability is sufficient ahead of that front to create the severe threat, but significant tornado parameter, pretty weak and pretty narrow, so confined really to south central Georgia and in northern Florida, maybe pushing into South Carolina, and then that whole threat will move east as the front pushes off into the Atlantic overnight tonight. But generally, you can see too where these updraft helicity tracks into southern Georgia and South Carolina. This is really the area we'll be watching for the strongest storms potentially later today. But ongoing showers and thunderstorms all day ahead of that front today into tonight until this kind of stalls out over Florida and the Atlantic here over the next 24 hours. Other than that, things will be pretty quiet the rest of the week as that front moves on. Severe threat is going to be just marginal the next few days, so that's level 1 out of 5 at most, and just a couple of disturbances moving out of the Pacific that'll create some pretty minor precip chances here for the eastern U.S. and into the Great Lakes and Ohio River Valley, but pretty light precip amounts. So it's been an active few weeks, quieter week right now, and the 6 to 10 day outlook shows spring warmth building back in for much of the central U.S. and dry conditions for most of the central and southern half of the U.S. here in the 6 to 10 day period. So a little break from some pretty active weather that we had March into the very start of this month.